Welcome back, everybody, to Rock Resurgence Radio. My name is Chad, and I am the host on this crazy train we call Rock Resurgence Radio. Let's just start off by, so last week I did an episode on Ozzy Osbourne's 1986 album, The Ultimate Sin. Just turns out he passed away shortly after I shot that video. So, rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. The Prince of Darkness is coming home. Sad day. I was at work when I heard, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I can honestly say that I'm not a huge Ozzy guy, but I know how much he meant to the heavy metal / rock and roll world. He was a true icon. And the fact that he got to do his last show, reuniting with Black Sabbath and all his other members that he had in his band, really, really cool that he got to do that and go out, basically kind of on top. I do want to say I haven't got a chance to watch his final performance. I heard it was pretty decent. I saw a little clip of him, and that was about it. So rest in peace, Ozzy. We also lost Malcolm Jamal Warner. Wow. Young guy. Another one, we lost Hulk Hogan. Also another big star to the people who watch this channel. I mean, that we grew up watching this stuff. And then there's the jazz legend Chuck Mangione. I didn't really know him much, but the other three, all huge in the world of rock and roll that we discuss on this channel. So I want to say rest in peace to all of them, and my condolences to the family. Okay, back to what we got going on today. Today I read an article by on ScreenRant.com. And the article is called 10 Bands Who Truly Define What It Means to Be Rock Stars. So I looked at this list and I went through it, and I'm going to kind of go through it with you guys and see what you think. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you some kind of ones they missed. First band at number 10 they listed as Mötley Crüe. And they talked about, I'll just give you kind of the rundown on kind of what they said. I'll shorten it up. Known for their glam metal sound and captivating look since 1981. Okay, Mötley Crüe. Love that pick. Great pick, actually. You know what? None of the picks on here are really that I can really argue with. They're all pretty fucking huge bands, but there's some that they missed, and we're going to discuss that at the end. They became one of the leading forces in glam metal, showing up dressed impressively and ready to rock. Throughout their career, they have faced many adversities, including various departures at times, but they still have managed to produce a product for their fans. So, yeah, they have. And the latest product that they've produced for fans is garbage. My opinion, garbage. So the list goes on to number 9. And this band is Green Day. And totally get it. Green Day brought back punk when punk was all but dead. And all these bands came out afterwards. The Offspring, there's several of them, but I can't think of them now. I thought of them last night when I was thinking about this article. I can't think of them. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. But Green Day became hugely popular, and they defined the punk genre and advanced fusion genres like pop punk since 1987. And it says, although it's not easy to do, the band has managed to create multiple concept albums and even had a musical made about them. Now the band plays in the biggest stadiums and continues to keep punk thriving decades after it first came to light. They began in a small street club, with their success leading them to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Great for them. I like Green Day. They have some great music, and I think they totally deserve to be on the list. At number 8, they got Aerosmith. One of the biggest advantages Aerosmith had from the start was its lead singer, Steven Tyler, possesses one of the greatest voices ever. If you listen to the very, very early stuff, his voice his voice got better, way better as the years went on. His first stuff was kind of hit and miss. His voice was good, but it wasn't great. And then, then in the mid 80s or whatever it was, they teamed up with Run DMC to do Walk This Way, and that kind of fucking catapulted them back into the limelight. The band has had high-profile celebrities appear in their music videos, further ingraining them in the pop culture. Their Hollywood roots didn't end there. They had their tunes featured in blockbuster movie. Tyler was even a judge on American Idol at one point, further enhancing their reach. They will forever be remembered as hitmakers who knew exactly how to expand their audience. And I agree. I mean, they really, they kind of had two careers. Their early career where they were really good and popular, and then they kind of fell off for a while. And then in the mid 80s or late 80s, mid to late 80s, I think 87 is when Permanent Vacation came out, and boom, they were back in the limelight. And that's thanks to guys and girls that watched this freaking show. We grabbed onto that album, and boom, it launched their second career for them. So great pick on that one. Number 7, they have Motorhead. If you wanted heavy metal at its finest, Motorhead was always a great band to turn to. From the beginning in 1975 until his death in 2015, bassist and lead singer Lemmy Kilmister put everything he had into the band. Although some members changed around him over the years, he remained consistent with touring and recording, resulting in an incredibly, holy shit, I didn't know this, 23 album discography. Additionally, the band formed one of the greatest partnerships of all time with World Wrestling Entertainment. They created 3 iconic theme songs with the company's COO Paul I don't know how you say his name, Levesque, Triple H, still coming out to them. One of the biggest reasons they had this deal in the first place was that everyone knew when Motorhead came on, the energy in the room turned up. Lemmy was born to be a rock star, and he will forever be remembered as that. 100% agree with this. I mean, Motorhead is just fantastic. I'm not a huge Motorhead fan. I've listened to quite a bit of their stuff over the years. And I've seen Lemmy, like kind of little videos and stuff on YouTube, and that guy was rock and roll to his core, to his bones. That guy was metal. And so totally agree with that. Coming in at number 6, Black Sabbath. Well, with Ozzy's passing, I watched an auction last night, a record auction last night, and they had a volume 1 edition of Ozzy's, all his solo albums except for Speak of the Devil wasn't in it. Big, huge vinyl box set. That fucking thing brought $3,000. $3,000. And they had sold one previously on this channel, and they said they got it up to like $2,200. So they got an extra $800, I think, due in part to Ozzy's untimely demise. But Black Sabbath, holy shit, I think the godfathers of metal. I mean, when they started out, they were heavier than anything out there. I'll read you a little bit. With their first album, Paranoid, 1970, Black Sabbath quickly established themselves, having ranked as high as 12th on the Billboard 200. Over their next few releases, they continued to push forward heavy metal, becoming pioneers of the genre. Through the 70s, they laid a foundation for what was possible with this type of music, setting the stage for many bands to follow. Even at the time they weren't together, the success continued. Ozzy has had a successful solo career, while other members were able to bring in singers to keep the band going. Eventually, they would find their way back together because they understood how important they were to music. They have proven to be true rock stars, adding value to any project they're involved in. And man, that's very, very true. Ozzy went on and did his own thing, and kept going. I mean, and Black Sabbath, they had Dio, they had, what the hell's that guy's name? Of course, I can't think of it, brain farting, but anyways, and had success without Ozzy as well. Do I wish Ozzy would have stayed? That would have been cool, but then we wouldn't have the Ozzy solo stuff, which is also really fucking killer. And stay tuned, the podcast guys that you're familiar with that have been on my channel, I've been on their channel. We're working on something, top Ozzy songs that'll be on the Hairband Basement. Brian, that's you, at some point in the future. So be on the lookout for that. Looking forward to it. Next band on the list, number 5, AC/DC. Well, shit, how can you have a list of rock stars and not put these guys on the list, right? I mean, they changed singers in 1980 due to a death and just became more popular. It's just unheard of. I'll read what they say. The one thing that AC/DC has always done is keep the band the most important thing. Throughout the early years, they established an unmistakable sound which came along with tremendous hits. Because they had created such a strong core, AC/DC was able to overcome the ultimate tragedy, which we just spoke of, when they had to quickly replace their lead singer Bon Scott after his death in 1980. They did so to go on to create one of the best-selling albums of all time, Back in Black. Adding Brian Johnson as a lead singer wasn't difficult because AC/DC is more than a band, they're a brand. Even as they have gotten later into their careers, they still produce hits and remain one of the most sought-after acts. Every time they release something new or show up to perform, it's understood the magic is about to be created. The trust they have built only comes from constantly succeeding at the highest level, and I couldn't fucking agree more. AC/DC is just straight ahead fucking rock and roll. And they don't change, and it sells like hotcakes. And how they can come up with different rhythms and all that shit with using, they always call it 3 chords, but they use more than 3 chords, but not that many more. So, and they keep coming up with songs and making it sound good and making it sound great. So, AC/DC, number 5. Number 4, the Beatles. The Beatles, I'll be honest with you, I never got into them. It's just not, I just never got into them really at all. I mean, I know there's a bunch of covers by bands that I like, and I like all those songs. I tried to get into Beatles at one point, and I listened to a few of their first albums, and it was all lovey-dovey stuff, and I was like, dude, what's all the hype about? I was like, whatever. So, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about the Beatles, but how can you deny it? I mean, you've seen the videos of the fucking fans going crazy when they came to the U.S., so obviously they need to be on the list. I'll read you what they say. Ringo, Paul, John, and George, 4 talented musicians who were meant to be a band. Together, they changed the course of music history, creating a frenzy known around the world as Beatlemania. Throughout the history of music, it's hard to find any act that has become as beloved as they have. In fact, this has led to them being the top-selling band with an estimated 600 million units sold worldwide. 600 fucking million. That's insane. Although their time together didn't last long as fans would have hoped, they did enough during the period to create a lasting legacy. Since the band ended, they have all experienced their own solo success. Even today, Paul and Ringo continue performing, keeping the memory of the band at the forefront of music. From their sound to their image, there is no mistaking these four great rock stars. And again, I can't argue with that. I know people who are Beatles fans, and man, fucking Beatles fans are fanatics. Um, so great, they're on the list. That's all I got to say. Number 3, Kiss. We just did an episode about Kiss not that terribly long ago, where what did we do? The top 40 songs or something like that. And Jesus, I mean, we could have done top 60 songs. And there was plenty of hits and other songs to go around. So I can totally get that. Kiss, I'm 100% on this one. When it comes to marketing, Kiss is among their very best. From the beginning, the band stood out thanks to their signature costumes and face paint. Additionally, they wrote many iconic tunes which helped them quickly rise to fame. Along the way, they knew when it was time to pivot, including taking the makeup off and putting it back on again. Over the years, the fans, known as the Kiss Army, we are the resurgence here. Remember that. You're the resurgence. I'm just kind of playing off the Kiss Army thing. Have been some of the most loyal in the music industry. Their live shows were absolute spectacles, and people would flock from all over the world to see them. With their touring days over, they have now created their own avatars, ensuring that their music will continue forever. And you know what? Holy shit, Kiss is awesome. And I'm glad we did that Kiss video before, because I didn't realize how much I liked the old Kiss. I got into Kiss on Animalize when Heaven's on Fire came out, and I love that stuff, and I love some of the newer stuff, like up through Revenge for sure. And then after that, I kind of lost track. But man, getting into that and going back, because I knew a lot of their stuff. I mean, I had gone back and I had listened to a lot of their hits and all that stuff. But holy shit, I didn't realize how much I liked that debut album. Holy balls, that's good. Kiss favorite song, Strutter. And on to number 2 with Metallica, my favorite band. They're at number 2 on their list. And, holy shit. They're fucking amazing, and they're still kicking royal ass to this day. Their concerts sell out every single time. The old saying from, I think it was Jason Newsted said, "Oh, some people say we sold out." Yeah, we sell out every stadium we play. That's fucking awesome. Anyways, this is what they said. Over the course of the career, Metallica has been considered one of the big 4 in thrash metal. Not only have they created 11 studio albums, but they have embraced other challenges, such as making an album full of covers. They even had a movie called Through the Never, which was derived from their song. They also did Some Kind of Monster, which is, if you haven't seen that was before, in kind of when Jason Newsted went out and Robert Trujillo came in. And it's basically goes through, man, it's an intense film because, until you watch that, you don't realize how close we were to fucking Metallica imploding and no longer existing. And it was during the recording of Saint Anger. But anyways, check it out, Some Kind of Monster. Along the way, their songs, such as Enter Sandman, have become iconic anthems in sports stadiums. These venues are now places that Metallica calls home, as they have become so big that they now only play on the largest stages in the world. In fact, they have had so much success that they have been able to do 2-night stays in various cities. They've been doing that for the last couple years, doing 2 shows in every city that they're at, and they do a completely different set list night to night. It's pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. Okay, enough about Metallica. We're on to number 1 with Rolling Stones. And again, I'm not a huge Stones fan. It was a little before my time, but fuck, they are good. You have to give it to them. I didn't go out and buy all their albums or anything like that, but I did pick up 40 Licks, and holy shit. I mean, there you go. We could do top 40 Rolling Stone songs and just go down the list on that fucking thing because it's amazing. Anyways, this is what they said. There are many factors that make the Rolling Stones rock stars. Their longevity is unmatched as they have been playing for 6 decades. Holy shit. Selling out shows all around the world. Additionally, they have never given up on producing new music as they have now created 31 studio albums. This is a remarkable achievement that very few have accomplished. Along the way, they have influenced many, yet they have continuously tried to keep up with the times. Their merchandise can be found everywhere, and to this day, their names remained one of the most relevant in music. Even on the stage, they still deliver memorable performances, ensuring that the fans will always get the best. So that's their list, 10 to 1. I thought, there's a couple other bands, and I could have picked 10 other bands, but I just picked 4 bands that probably should have been on the list. Come on, Bon Jovi, 1983, they started. They've sold over 130 million albums. They kept up with the times. They've changed their sound to stay relevant. Man, they're among the biggest out there. I mean, that could have been on the list. Who would you kick off? I don't know. Me, myself, I'd take Green Day off, but and maybe Beatles and the Rolling Stones. But, I mean, they deserve to be there, but just as me, if that was my 10, I would pick a couple different bands just because it's more in my wheelhouse. Not saying those bands don't deserve to be on there. Another band, Def Leppard, came out in 1977, started in 1977. Pyromania and Hysteria albums are diamond albums. That means over 10 million copies each. They're only one of 5 rock acts that have 2 diamond albums. That's pretty insane. They're still selling out everywhere they play. I think they just signed up for a residency in Las Vegas. That's pretty cool. I'd like to go down and see it. I don't know. I've seen Def Leppard 3 or 4 times, so I'm probably good on that. Another band, whether these guys are, either you love them or you hate them, kind of one of those bands, Guns N' Roses. They were inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2012. Appetite for Destruction alone has sold over 30 million albums. That's insane. All albums together, they've sold over 100 million. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, when they debuted, entered the charts at 1 and 2. So that's pretty freaking cool. They should have been on the freaking list, and they got back together and are kind of doing their thing again. That's a show I wouldn't mind seeing. I only seen them once, and it was pretty freaking good. So, I've seen good and bad Axl, so which one would I get? Who knows? Van Halen, formed in 1972. One of the most influential bands on other bands, like bands wanted to be them. Their debut in 1984. Here's one of the other bands. Sold over 10 million copies. They also have the guitar god, Eddie Van Halen, who inspired millions of people and kids to pick up the guitar. They all picked it up, and then they realized they couldn't fucking do Eddie Van Halen shit because Eddie Van Halen shit is epic. One of the other bands that has changed singers and, even rose further. When David Lee Roth, after 1984, then they jumped on with Sammy Hagar on 5150, and they just kind of kept climbing. It was just insane. They have to be on the list. And let's see, there was one other that I was thinking of, but I didn't write it down. But what do you guys think? What other bands should be on the list? I don't know. I mean, there's a ton of them. And we could probably do this, numerous times, and add another 5 bands that know what it means to be rock stars. Anyways, that's all I got to say. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Gonna miss any new albums you got, but I know you had a rough road with Parkinson's, so thank you for all you did. That's it for this week's Rock Resurgence Radio. Keep the volume cranked, the fist pumping, and the spirit of rock and roll alive and well. We'll be back next week with more Sonic Mayhem. Until then, stay loud, stay proud, and keep fucking rocking. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed our content. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, and tell your friends. We greatly appreciate it. Links to everything we discussed will be included in episode notes. Feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, stay golden, Pony Boy, and rock on.